This episode of the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast is brought to you by the Podcast Reach System. Are you ready to exponentially reach more profitable customers? Launching and hosting your own show is your proven best solution for networking, client attraction, and establishing your celebrity expert brand. Visit www.podcastreachsystem.com and claim your rightful place as the leading star of your industry so you make a difference for your community, market, and audience. Welcome to the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast. Join us as we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who reveal what they are doing to make the world a better place by being part of it. Be sure to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, lean in, tune in, get your notepad and 2 pens ready, and let's get started.
My name is Adam Homey. I am your host, and I am honored by your wise decision to tune in and invest in yourself today. Right now, we are speaking with Michael Whitehouse, who is known as the guy who knows a guy. He has got a very interesting story, and you can find out more about him by visiting our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com and navigating to the post where his episode is located. For now, let's bring him in. Michael, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in and see where this goes. The first question we like to ask is, how does the work you do make the world a better place for your clients, customers, and the world at large?
Well, thank you, Adam. That's a great question to start with. So what I do is I help people discover the tremendous economic potential they have. So the great tragedy of our times is that people have had this ridiculous idea there are haves and have-nots, as if there's some kind of hereditary aristocracy. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Some people have it, some people don't. Just is what it is. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, it's true that it's not what you know, it's who you know, but you can meet people. I've connected with dozens, maybe hundreds at this point of very successful people, and they've been very generous with their time, their advice, knowledge, introductions, anything I need from them. And these relationships are why I'm here with you on the show. They are what business is built on. So I started knowing literally no one. I had the link to the Chamber of Commerce website and nothing else. From there, I started going to events. I started meeting people, built up a network. And in fact, the most powerful part of my network I built over the last year because everything went digital and that's something I could meet people around the world. So to answer the question of what I do and how it helps people, I teach people that better things are possible, and then I teach them how to do it.
Okay, great. So tell us a little bit more in your words about what it is you actually do.
Sure. So I'm a networking coach. I teach people to build networks. I teach people to build businesses. I do it through one-on-one coaching. I do it through courses, and I do it through the Networking Ninja Dojo that I'm teaming up with RJ Redden to be launching this fall.
Great. In your experience, what are a few of the most common frequently asked questions, the FAQs that people have when they're going through their decision of deciding to work with you?
So the most common question is, wait, what do you do? What's a coach? What's a networking coach? What's a business coach? Because no one really understands what a coach does, including many coaches. I was a coach I've been calling myself a coach for longer than I've really known what a coach was. And beyond that, the questions are really all over the map. So I got all kinds of different questions. But that's the big one is what do you do? What's coaching all about?
Great. So what are some questions you wish people would ask?
So I wish they would ask me how to build their network and solve their problems. I offer complimentary 30-minute coaching sessions, and I can make pretty serious progress on most problems in that time. But a lot of people can't wrap their head around the idea that their problem they've had for years, I can make progress on in 30 minutes. So I also wish people would ask me for introductions and referrals. I'm the guy who knows a guy. I'm a networking guy. Networks grow stronger with use. And when someone asks me for a referral, it gives me the opportunity to provide value for them and to others in my network. So recently someone asked, I need a garage built. Who should I go to? Well, now I can strengthen my relationship with a few different contractors in the area by being like, hey, Toby needs a garage built. Can you help him? Can you help him? Can you help him? I don't know who he'll work with, but every one of them remembers I made that introduction. But often people are so used to this zero-sum game, the fixed pie, that they don't want to bother me. They don't want to waste my time, not realizing by me helping them, I'm helping my connections, and I'm helping myself. Everybody wins because they ask me for help, and it's good for everyone.
Yeah, and this is the reason we started the Brilliance Plus Passion Project. I started a Facebook group called Everything Podcasting, which we may be taking onto other platforms in the future as well. I made a determination, and I want to, as much as possible, make a personal connection with every single member of that group, and then ultimately take the project to LinkedIn, where I have thousands of people who I've never actually connected with, even though they're my connections.
Welcome to LinkedIn.
And there are many ways you can connect with a person on social media. One of which is you can send a DM that's about this long. You have to scroll 20 times to get to the top of. That's basically the extended version of the Me, Me, Me song. There's that one. Then there's, hey, can we hop on the phone real quick? Yeah, you know what that's usually a translates to in the recipient's mind. In my experience, is yeah. So you can tell me about your business. I hope I volunteer myself as your client. Gee, I wonder what you really want to connect about. And then there's, hey, how you doing today? Okay, so if that doesn't sound creepy on the surface, those show up when you have the least amount of time to chat. And to me, that tells me that I'm dealing with somebody who's going to basically be a time waster. If their initial approach to me is, "Hi, how are you?" It's like, I don't do this.
Don't ask me to do the emotional labor of this conversation. You want something
exactly?
From me? I'll take a half-hour call with pretty much anyone, even if they're trying to sell me, because never know where that could go. But but you better be driving the bus. I'll ride in your bus.
Exactly.
You got to drive the bus. You can't be like, come with me, ride in the bus, drive the bus, put gas in the bus, clean the bus, and then we'll go where I want to go.
So Michael, how about if this bus pulls up to you? Hey, Mike, nice to meet you. I have a podcast. You want to be on?
That's usually a yes.
99% yes rate. Yep. Absolutely. Also beats the free strategy session model, which I see so many people lead with. Like, hey, nice to have you as a LinkedIn connection. I'd like to offer you a free strategy session. Okay, you're not going to pitch me on that.
Yeah, I don't know you or what you can offer, so I don't know what strategy you're talking about.
Right. And then, and did you check to see what I do? And did you notice that I do the same thing? Okay, yeah, all that stuff comes up. So that's what I love about this modality, is it's the opportunity to get to know people. And I like to say it's a modality that opens conversations, it closes deals, and expands relationships, because you never know where it'll go until you get into it.
True.
So let's have some fun. Let's switch over now. What is something that people who know you would be surprised to learn about you?
Well, I don't know if they'd be surprised by this, but I'll start with the easy one, which is I took a 2-week road trip to Los Angeles and back. I was in Massachusetts at the time, and I have loved being on the road ever since. But what folks might find more interesting is how I learned to speak in public. So many people observe, oh, you're a great speaker. How did you learn to speak like that? So in 2003, I was a founding director of a Rocky Horror Picture Show cast in South Hadley, Massachusetts, called the Come Again Players. And as a director, I was on stage almost every week, emceeing or auctioning something off, or in the shows. And so anyone familiar with Rocky Horror will know that I got the old advice about being comfortable on stage backwards. I'm sure you've probably heard, if you're uncomfortable on stage, just picture the audience in their underwear.
Yeah.
Well, I got it backwards. I got comfortable on stage by being in front of the audience in my underwear.
Wow.
After you've played Rocky a few times, or a few dozen times, doing a Facebook Live doesn't really freak you out anymore.
Right. I have a face for radio. Fortunately, I have a voice for radio. God was at least consistent when he was handing out the attributes. And my other podcast, the Business Creators Radio Show, the first episode that'll be video will be video number 1. And we've been running that show since September of 2013. Those are designed to be mastermind conversations where the listener is tuning in and sort of like a fly on the wall with their pad of paper out, catching those little aha moments. We go back and forth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The Brilliance Plus Passion Project is mostly a spotlight on you. So that's why we two different formats. I don't like live streaming. It tires me out. Backed by science. It the zoomed out effect, which has become more and more a real thing. So I'm one of those advocates that says, who says you have to be on camera? I mean, we've had people come on this show who don't have webcams, and StreamYard allows them to upload an avatar, and we just go with that. I've had a couple cases where my video failed, and rather than re-record the episode, I just superimpose something on the left-hand side.
There you go.
No complaints, lots of happiness.
Yep.
What do you hope people say about you when you're not around to hear it?
What I hope they say is that I'm a helpful person that people should reach out to if they need something. I always try to be a valuable resource, and hopefully that's what they're saying.
Yeah. If you could go back in time and change one thing you've done, what would it be and why? Or one thing you've done or something you've experienced. Let's phrase it that way.
So I wouldn't actually change, if I had a time machine, I wouldn't actually change anything, because I believe the universe unfolds the way it should, and I am where I am as the result of all my experiences. If I changed anything, I've got some things I rather have not done. But I wouldn't be the guy who knows a guy. I wouldn't have my amazing daughter. I wouldn't be married to my wife. I wouldn't be where I am. That said, if I were to encounter an exact copy of me, who is in an exact situation just like one I was in, then there is some advice that I might share with a past self. And the big one would be, when I first started business out of college, I would share the advice that money and monetization is what makes the world go round, is the fuel that makes the machine work. So I was very fixated on the mission, on building community, bringing people together, which is great. But if you don't make money and you make choices that get you away from the money that drives it, eventually you go broke and you can't achieve the mission. So no matter how mission focused you are, you still have to keep the eye on the money. And this is a lesson that I have learned and forgotten many, many times. You need the money to do whatever else you're doing. Money is the vehicle, the fuel that powers the vehicle. And, don't compromise your morals for money, but don't compromise your mission for lack of money. Right.
Okay. What famous person, alive or dead, would you like to meet? And if you had the opportunity, what question or questions would you have for them?
So famous people who are just famous don't interest me, for the sake of being famous. I mean, there's some people like, it'd be kind of cool to meet, Patrick Stewart. That'd be great. But as a networker, if there's someone I'd like to meet and ask questions of, I generally do so. And it's a pretty amazing experience. So that's why I've got the Guy Who Knows a Guy podcast, so I can bring people on there and meet them and ask them questions. So through running Conference 21 this past spring, I got to interview amazing people, both through the conference and on my podcast. And it literally changed my life, changed the way I looked at the world. And then this summer, I went to an event called Strategic Alliance Live and relaunched my Guy Who Knows a Guy podcast, met a bunch of people from there, got their stories, and asked them, how did they get started? How did they get from 0-figure businesses to 5-figure businesses? And shared that. And so it's not so much about like one famous person with one story. It's I want to meet a lot of people, and I do meet a lot of people who have stories to share so that I can then learn from them. And I often can't remember the specific lessons, but the aggregate of it, I'm like, I know I think differently. I'm not even sure how, but I'm sure it's better.
Exactly. So what motivates and inspires you to keep going when you're having a tough time or facing a challenge?
So I love that question because it implies there's an alternative. People always look at me and they're like, wow, Michael, you just keep going. And I'm like, what else am I going to do? Drop dead? Because for me, I'm constitutionally incapable of getting a job. I've tried to get regular jobs, and either I can't find them, or I'm there for 6 months and I leave, or they fire me. Phil Paluccio said that an entrepreneur is just someone who can't keep a job, and it's like that, huh? Yeah. So I just keep going because there's no alternative. I don't know what giving up would look like. Like I can't just stop; it would drive me crazy. And I feel like I'm driven towards a mission. I've got somewhere to be. I've got something to do. So good day or bad day, I put one foot in front of another. And the biggest thing I've learned over the last year is gratitude for what I have and appreciating just how good I have it. And remembering that, and then just keep plodding one foot in front of the next. And it's getting me where I'm going.
Exactly. So finally, I know you have an invitation for our listeners, and I will share that with them. But in general, right now, what is one action you encourage our listeners to take as soon as they finish streaming this episode?
Start making connections. So make a list of people who would change your life to know, and then go meet them. Whether it's email them or send them a LinkedIn message, Instagram message, figure out who you know in common. They're all just people. So if you can find a way to put your message in front of them, a lot of truly successful people, not struggling people. Struggling people are like, I don't have any time. Truly successful people are very generous with their time, very generous with their knowledge, their expertise, their introductions. Anyone watching this, I'd be happy to talk to you and connect you to anyone I know if you're a good person. I don't mean successful person. I just mean if I don't think you're a jerk and you wouldn't embarrass me. If you're generally a good person, I'd introduce you to anyone I know for a conversation, and most of them would be happy to talk to you. So start making connections you can, and it will change your life.
Absolutely. So here's the invitation that Michael has for our listeners. I'll say this one time out loud for the people who are out jogging. Otherwise, visit our post on www.brilliancepluspassion.com. You'll see it in the notes. It is resources.guywhoknowsaguy.com. That's resources.guywhoknowsaguy.com. This is a collection of tools, tips, and techniques drawn from the network of the Guy Who Knows a Guy that make your life and business smoother and more effective. And with that, Michael, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been an honor, and believe me, an education.
Thank you. It's been fantastic being on here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning into the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast, where we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who are making a difference for their community, market, and audience. Remember to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast.